Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we made it. We made it. We're here for Saw 2. What's going on, guys? Barely
Not
by the
much.
buzzer.
Not much.
All right. So we're continuing our coverage of the franchise, and we're going to be talking about the sequel, Saw 2, which to me it was very interesting. But let's see who we have in the chat, and then we'll get going on this thing here. We got Brandon. Brandon's in the chat saying, "Welcome to the Night Watch, Stephen. Happy to have you here." Yes, we do have
Mhm.
our good buddy Stephen from Craving Something Scary join the channel membership, and
Nice.
much
Nice.
appreciated to him. Much appreciated to him. We got Denisha. Denisha's in the chat saying, "Hey to everyone, what's going on? What's going
No.
on?" We got my man Nathan. Nathan's in the chat saying, "Hey guys, what's up? What's up?" And of course, Ginger Ninja's with us saying, "Hello all. What's going on, man?
Hey.
Nice to see you."
Hey,
And thanks for the comments earlier, man. We appreciate it. Seriously. Very cool stuff. All right. So we'll go around real quick to get a quick blurb what we think of this movie, and we've got M with us again, 13-year-old, first time watching this franchise. Get a perspective from her. Kill, we'll start with you, and then Coriander, and then M. What's up with Saw 2? What do you think about Saw 2?
I love Saw 2. This was the one that really kind of shaped the trajectory of the franchise and kind of expanded on the world. And this one it just holds a solid space in my memory. Is when I first saw it, I didn't know what to expect.
Right.
Just wondering, oh, how are they gonna like do a sequel to that last one, and what are they gonna do? And is it just gonna be another two guys stuck in a room? But they definitely threw a curveball, and it's an awesome movie.
They really switched it up. There's no doubt about that. All right. What about you, Coriander?
Yeah, I mean, for the second movie, I was even thinking to myself before I even started this franchise, it's like, why would I want to see the same thing over and over? And yeah, there's traps, but it's different and it brings a different, you know, plot and you'd get the different characters and yeah, it for the second sequel, it was pretty good. It was enjoyable.
Agreed. Agreed. Okay. And how about you, M? Would you think of it now that you've seen two of these movies in the franchise?
It's kind of like what she said, because I thought it was just gonna be like the same thing over, and I'll be honest, I thought it was gonna be boring. But the end kind of bring it all together, so
All right. Okay. Yeah. For me, I pretty much what you guys said. I really didn't know what to expect from the movie, but I was really surprised because it seemed like they found a way to kind of up the story. It was more complex, but it still was sensible. It made sense. Everything came together, and we'll be talking about some of those things and the traps and all those types of things, and how it compares to Saw 1. And but real quick, Jason's in the chat too, saying please do yourself a favor and check out past Night Watch Zone videos. Make sure on these videos hit the thumbs up. Please leave a comment. They are so much fun. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Jason's always leaving comments on the old videos, man. We appreciate it. Nathan saying, not a big fan of this franchise, only like the first movie, can care less for the sequels. All right, all right. You'll have to let us know what you thought about what about this movie, or what you didn't like about Saw 2. And what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick second to finish getting set up and give folks another minute to jump into the chat if they choose to do so. So for you guys in the chat, for you guys watching the replay, sit back, relax. You know what time it is. All right. Let's get down to brass tacks. All right, Kill. Let's start off with the beginning of this movie with the opening scene, the opening trap. Tell me what you thought about it, because it definitely was a different flavor than the first movie.
Now, wow. Oh yeah, the this one the nailed like helmet.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Me personally, I love the ones that are helmets, but those are the ones that like creep me out the most. Whether
Right,
it's
right.
ripping off your jaw, with Amanda, or this one where, he has the key is literally behind his eye. It's just like such a catch-22 of like him seeing an X-ray, and it's like, oh, okay, so I have to, pretty much reach behind my eye to get this key, and if I don't, I'm going to get impaled by this helmet.
Right.
It's a good one, and kind of a throwback to the first movie with the Amanda trap with the jaw helmet.
Right.
Man, if it makes me squirm, then it's good. And this one, it definitely made me squirm, because essentially he starts the trap by moving, and pulling the cord, and it's just bad news bears for him.
It is, man. The whole thing is bad. What did you guys think about this trap, Coriander and M?
It was good. I mean, yeah, when you're faced with something like that, you know you're going to die and you got to put yourself through hell to save yourself, I guess. I probably would have tried it, man. I think I would have had the balls to rip out my eye and save myself. And, although maybe it's easier said than done, but it was great. I loved this trap, and I liked how it began. Yeah.
What was that, Em? What'd she say?
I said, "Ew, Mom," because that's just disgusting.
I know. Oh man. Real quick, we got Dre's in the chat saying what's going on, and we got Wayne. What's up?
Hey.
Yeah, Dre saying he enjoyed 2. I think it's my favorite 2. Brandon was saying that 2 was his favorite. Wow, Wayne saw this twice in the theater. All right.
Nice.
Yeah. Ninja saying Saw 2 grew on me after a while. When I first watched it, I wasn't a fan, but it's gotten better over time. All right. Jason's in the chat. What's going on? Nice to see you. Yeah, for me, this trap was rough, man. It reminded me of like those old times back in the old days, the Inquisition days or something like that. Matter of fact, all these traps, they have that inspiration from like real stuff in history or just a slight variation of it, which that's kind of scary too, to be quite honest. But yeah, this guy, he was in a bad situation from the beginning. He couldn't go through with it. But after that happens, and obviously he doesn't get through and dies, it crushes him. It leads up to the introduction of the characters, and of course, one thing that I thought was pretty cool, and I'll pass it to you in a second, Kill. But we got Mr. Wahlberg is the lead detective and the lead actor in this movie, and he's basically in a situation where he's got a son who's always getting into trouble, and it's ironic because obviously his father's a cop. But they have to go to the murder scene and check it out. And he's basically being taunted by Jigsaw. He knows of Jigsaw and the murders. Everyone does in the city and so forth. But what did you think of Donnie Wahlberg in this role, Kill? Because I thought he did a pretty good job.
Yeah. I thought he did a great job. And the fact of kind of him being the catching Jigsaw's eye, sort of say, and having this detective fully immersed in the game was definitely a little different than the last entry, but he played it really well. I mean, I always enjoyed how they go between what are the police or the detectives doing, what are the players doing, and what Jigsaw's doing. Right. And this one, I just really love the back and forth between Jigsaw and Donnie Wahlberg, because Jigsaw is he's very cool. He's just sitting there like, oh yeah, all you have to do is sit here and talk to me.
Right.
Yeah, and it'll all be good. And, Donnie Wahlberg is like, where's my son? And this nice like, chill out, bro. Just talk to me. It's cool. I mean, look at that face.
Right. Well, that's what I wanted to talk about a little bit. I'll pass it to you, Coriander. The setup of the movie, like Kill was saying, there was this cat and mouse game between Jigsaw and Detective Matthews.
Yeah.
What did you, and of course that's only one half of the story, really, because the other half is about the folks that are trapped in the room. But what did you think of the setup for this movie? Because I think it was more complex, more layered than Saw, the original Saw.
Oh yeah, it was definitely more layered and complex, definitely. And the the banter between these two, it was great. I mean,
Mhm.
because Jigsaw he had the lead on all these guys. He's trying to say, "Hey, play the game," and
Mhm.
I'm giving you clues, and
Yeah,
yeah,
clues all throughout.
it's yeah. I just liked how at first he was cool about it, Donnie there, and then he starts you know, listening to what Jigsaw's saying and his relationship with his son. And yeah, it gets deep. I mean,
Mhm.
it's funny how this Jigsaw can dig up all this shit about you and find out all this personal stuff that it's just crazy. And
Well,
yeah, it's really good.
what I was gonna say is later on, we find out exactly how Jigsaw was able to know
Right.
a lot about
But I'm just
Eric
saying,
Matthews. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. What about you, Em? What did you think of like the setup of the story? I know that you were a big fan of the first movie, how they were confined to that one room and the tension. What did you think about this story, how it was being set up?
Um, for me, it was kind of slow until like stuff started building up a lot, and I just kind of found it funny how Jigsaw was just so unbothered and he was yelling at him the whole time, and it was kind of funny.
Well, I think he had all the cards, you know what I mean? Like he said to him, I just want you to give me some of your time and talk. Now, and I don't want to jump ahead, but we know exactly why he said that to him because one, he knew that Detective Matthews was a hothead and like he said, all you have to do is sit and talk and you'll find your son in a safe and secured state. So, I'm just going to say that. But Kill, let's jump to the other half of the story where we find the folks that are locked in the room. And of course, that's what Detective Matthews sees on the cameras. And he notices that his son is among them. What did you think of this setup and these characters and what was starting to go on with them?
Well, first off, you have a lot of great character actors.
Yeah.
You may not know their names, but you know their faces. Like, oh, it's that guy from that other movie, or that
Hmm.
young lady from this. And they give us just enough background about these characters to
Hmm.
semi care for them and care about their well-beings here.
Hmm.
And there are some stereotypical like characters, a hothead, or I don't know, the guy that tries to calm everyone down and so forth. And then you got our girl.
Amanda is back.
Amanda's there. And I remember when I first saw this, I was surprised by that. I was like, hey, okay,
Right.
that's another callback to the original movie.
Hmm.
And also just thinking, she has John McClane luck. She has bad luck. Like, how
Right.
do you get stuck in the same situation again?
Right, right,
Yeah.
right, right.
But I really enjoyed these characters and the chemistry of them. You could tell which of them were kind of cool with one another and which of them
Hmm.
hated one another, and just
Yeah.
and the fact that they all kind of had to work together or semi work together.
Right, right. Absolutely. Coriander, when you first saw this movie, I'll ask this for both of you guys, but when you first, and of course, Coriander, this is, thinking of when you first saw it, now that you've seen it twice or whatever. But how did you think they were going to get out of that room? There was a key there. Amanda found the tape. And what did you think was going to happen, before it happened? How did you think they were going to get out?
I honestly didn't know, because no one was trapped, no one was chained to anything,
Right.
and they even say like don't use the key and
Yeah.
you
Don't open
know
the
s-
door or something. Don't use the key.
right,
Yep.
right. And we saw what happened when that guy was like, screw that, I'm gonna do it,
Right.
and he ended up getting shot. So yeah, I mean, I had no clue how they were gonna get out. And when I first saw Amanda there too, it was like, wow, like
Mm-hmm.
how she said, like it was almost like not again,
Mm-hmm.
because yeah,
Mm-hmm.
she even said it herself. You wasn't treating your life like you should have, and look, she ended up going back. So, but
Right.
then we really find out why she's back. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it
Yep.
was good.
Absolutely. How about you, Em? What did you think of when they used the key in the door?
It was an idiot move. Yeah, no, I wouldn't have done it. It was pretty stupid of that person. It's like, screw it. Yeah, that's just not smart.
Yeah, yeah, that's true too. But that really was the whole beginning of it is once you saw the guy use the key, and he puts it in the thing, and the gun was right there in the peak hole, and it's like, oh man, it started off right there. But here's the thing to me though, is that throughout the movie there was a lot of clues, just like that one saying, don't use the key or whatever. And the other thing too was in the beginning, like what he was saying to Detective Matthews, he said a lot of things that just it carried over all the way to the end of the movie, you know what I'm saying, which I thought was really really interesting. So how about
And I
this?
kind of like too how he said, like, for the numbers of the combination, how it's in the back of your mind, right? And
Yes.
that was the good clue that no one really picked up
Yes.
until, it was
That's
too
right.
late.
That's right. And Mikey's in the chat saying, why wouldn't Amanda at least cough a couple times or something? She never got sick like everyone else. Totally telegraphed the ending. But here's the question, and that's jumping ahead. I was going to get to that, but here's the question. When you guys first watched the movie, did you guys notice that?
I didn't.
No.
Right. Exactly.
No.
I don't think a lot of people noticed it because she went through some stuff, and we're going to get to
Yeah,
that
she did.
particular moment. She definitely didn't get out of this thing easy, but it is a clue though. That's a really good clue. So thanks for mentioning that, Mikey. Because it was one of those things like, wait a minute, you know what I mean? But let's do this, guys. Let's kind of move forward, because once they get out of here, then we start to talk about a lot of the traps. So, Kill, out of the movie, do you have a trap that really kind of caught your eye?
Well, I guess you can call it a trap. It's the it's the pit of dirty needles. Like that's
Man.
that's nightmare fuel, and
Right.
now granted, were they dirty needles or were they just needles that like Jigsaw, put in there and just saying, hey, they'll think they're dirty needles or whatever, I don't know. But
Right.
regardless, that one always stands out to me.
Right. Right. How about you, Coriander?
Yeah, when he picked her up and threw her in that's rough, man. And then when she was like, screw it, and started digging for the key, and that was rough, man. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. How about you, Em?
Oh, I was about to say. No, it was. I didn't like how he did that. No. I
Which
didn't
one?
really like him at all. He was just an aggressive person. I didn't really like that.
Yeah. That drug dealer guy.
Yeah.
The one who threw her in
yeah.
the pit. Yeah. With the needle.
Yeah. Okay. Wow, you guys are all on the same page. All right. Well, to me, one of the things I thought was really, really rough, obviously, Abby, when he was caught in the furnace, that was pretty rough because they literally showed him burning alive, man.
Yeah, they did.
As soon as he went in, and the only way that he could get out of it was basically to burn himself. Like he would have literally had to burn himself. So it's one of those things where a lot of these traps, it's always a question of like really hurting yourself a lot more than you already are, which is pretty damn rough, man. But the other thing too that really got me was after all that, the scene with the blades, trying to get the antidote and stuff with the blades. I thought that was really, really messed up because there was no way that she could pull her hands out without like severely cutting herself and then possibly bleeding out. Yeah. And of course, Xavier, he comes right in there, and you thought for a second that he might have done something to help, but he didn't. He just wanted to get the numbers because we realized that the numbers were on the back of their head. And that was a rough scene, man. I really, that was rough. And I'll throw it back to you too, Kill. Now, the other part of this is it's back and forth between what these guys are doing in the house, and then of course what's happening, with the interrogation of John Kramer. What did you think of some of those scenes that were happening, especially once we got into the second half of the movie?
They kept ramping it up and getting more and more tense. Detective Matthews started getting more and more violent, and the other police, detectives there were kind of allowing it because they were starting to reach their limits of the patience. And part of me kind of gets it. He's a father, and he knows, look, my son is on borrowed time here, and
Right.
he's surrounded by all of these criminals,
Mhm.
and he's scared, and he sees them on the screen, and he's worried about this toxin they're breathing in. So
Right.
he's kind of like, okay, we gotta hurry this up because my
Mhm.
son is slowly dying.
Right.
But I loved, just how all of those scenes started to ramp up more and more. And then once again, any scene with Jigsaw in it is just cool and it's so interesting,
Yeah, absolutely. Coriander. So let's also go a little bit further into the story too, because they have the SWAT team that's trying to figure out things from the video
Yeah.
feed too. When you first saw the movie, tell me about the reveal and what you thought of it, and if you thought about that when you first saw the movie.
Yeah, once that SWAT got to that house, when they got that address,
Mhm.
yeah, I thought, all right, shit's gonna go down and they're gonna finally get him. And
Mhm.
yeah, they're getting to the house and that other chick's like, I can't see you guys, and then you realize, holy
Right.
shit, that
Mhm.
they're in the wrong friggin' house. And yeah, that was awesome. Yeah. Good for Jigsaw, because he's
Yeah.
fucking smart to think one step
He
ahead and
is.
lead them in one direction while he takes this, Donnie there in another direction. And yeah,
Yeah.
he was just, it was well planned. Let's just say that. Yeah.
It really, really was. And Jen also popping into the chat saying hello, can't stay. Well, thank you for
Hey.
jumping in. We appreciate you
Hey.
stopping by. But for you, M, because what was interesting to me, because the first time you were seeing it, when the SWAT team had gotten into the house and they saw the VCRs and it was showing that it was on play, and he hits the button and it paused. What'd you think?
Oh no. That's all I thought was just, oh no, that's not gonna go well.
I was like, oh no.
Mhm.
Did you realize that what had happened is that the people that were being captive, that had taken place hours before the interrogation of Jigsaw?
Yeah, kind of, because
Yeah.
it wasn't live, so it's just like, oh no,
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It did suck because at that point too, John had taken, Detective Matthews, to the place where he said his son was. So you have that scene, which I thought was really cool. That's one thing I wanted to talk about too. I think the movie had that really grimy, gritty look to it. That was really, I think you said it last week, Kill. It's kind of reminiscent of something like Seven. But I think that it kind of amps up the tension of the movie, because when he goes there, I mean, he's trying to find his son, man. He's looking all over the place, and he's basically frantic, and he's finding bodies. You know what I mean? I think that was when I started to say, well, wait a minute, what's going on here? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? What you think about the finale, Kill?
You mix the intensity and the caliber of the actors, and then that soundtrack. It's like, oh man, what is going on? Because the final act of this movie, stuff is going off quick. Like,
It is.
but not quick in a bad way, but just stuff has happened very rapidly, and the cinematography of them cutting in and out of stuff that was going on in the past, stuff that's currently going on. I loved it,
Yeah.
and then certain characters are revealed. I'm not gonna jump that far yet, but
Yeah.
it was just a lot going on, and then also just seeing that if you had listened to what Jigsaw was saying, about stay here and just talk to me, you'll find your
Right.
son in a safe and secure place and state, and once again he let his hot head kind of take over his brain and senses and sensibilities. So
Right. Absolutely, man. I mean, it was a lot of back and forth, and I think what's cool is you're trying to figure it out as it's happening. You know what I'm saying? Like, once they hit pause on that thing, and the guy, and of course we'll see him later on though. He was like, "This isn't live," and I'm starting to think, "Wait a minute, what does that mean?" And as you see Matthews going through the corridors, and then it starts to hit to you. Now, for Coriander, for you and M, let's obviously get to kind of the meat and potatoes of this thing near the end when Matthews, he goes into that room. What were you thinking? You know, how surprised were you? What do you think was happening when you saw that it was the same room from the first movie?
It was like, oh man, and just like how everyone was reacting, the smell, because the bodies of those guys, they were still there.
Yes,
So
decayed.
yes, you could finally see like, oh my God, so that's what happened to them. They ended up dying. So yeah, I thought that was pretty damn cool that they ended up in that room. Definitely.
Yeah.
And it was to their advantage because it helped them take out that fucking drug dealer. So yeah.
Yes. Well, and here's the thing too, and let me pull up that part too, that scene, because once you know, the son and Amanda got in there, it's like, oh no, what's going on? And they see the bodies and this and this and that. But of course, Xavier was right behind them. And I love that scene when Amanda said, because he wanted the numbers off the back of their neck to get the antidote from the safe. And she said, well, once you get everyone's number, how are you gonna know what your number is if I don't tell you? And then of course you had that scene, man. M, what did you think of this scene, man, when he started? I just want to let people know what your reaction to it was.
I was really, because like at the beginning of the movie, how he was like gonna cut his eye, I thought, oh god. And then at the end of the movie that happened, it was just, you know. There's a thing between gore and that, and I don't really like that, you know?
Yeah, it was
too real for you. It's too real. I don't like it.
It was pretty rough. But the one of the twists to it, there was a couple of twists. There were like 4 twists in this movie. And for you guys in the chat, and we'll get to you in a second, but if you haven't seen this movie, you may not want to hear this part because there's really some cool twists. So Kill, once he starts cutting off the back of his neck, and he went through with it too. He cut off a chunk of his neck to look at the number. And he's thinking he's going to look on the back of Daniel's neck and then Amanda's, and Daniel is kind of passed out. And then, of course, we find out that Daniel wasn't passed out. What did you think about that? How they played him, and obviously what they did after that?
You know, you could see his character kind of de-evolving through this whole movie to kind of, you know, crazed savagery. You know, it was interesting. They outsmarted him, but you know, as much, I guess, props as I would give him for just being that determined. Dude, there's a mirror in that room. It's a little broken up from the first movie, but there's a mirror in that room, dude. So once again, what is your weapon? Use your brain. I'm just saying.
True.
I'm just saying. But yeah, I mean, he has toxins going through him, so yeah, obviously he's not thinking straight, and I get that. But no, I love how they were able to outwit and outlast him, you know.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah.
By the skin of their teeth. Real quick before I get to you, Coriander, we got Cody in the chat saying, just got done watching Prey, and oh my god, Night, such a badass prequel. All right. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. Justine's in the chat saying, hey y'all, what's going on? Justine? Nice to see you.
Hey.
Jordan's in the chat saying, I normally don't like Saw, but the first one was actually good. All right. And we've got a super chat for Jason saying, hello, Killian. I want to play a game. All your life, you teased Mr. Happy and said he hates glass. You will need the chat to comment. Mr. Happy is all right 10 times. Time is ticking.
Help me out, guys.
That's a good one, man.
Thank you, Jason.
That's great, man. Thanks a lot, man. We appreciate that.
I like that one.
That was a good one. Nice one, man. All right. But you know, for you, Coriander, and for you, M, let's go beyond that, because they outlasted Xavier, and then it just kind of, you know, it kind of cut away from them, and you're wondering, okay, you know, are you guys going to be okay? Is Daniel going to be all right? And then it just goes to Detective Matthews, who's going through the corridor, and it seems to be a little bit darker. You know what I'm saying? He's going through the hallways. It seems to be a little bit darker. We understand why in a second, but what do you think of that scene, and you know, how it impacted you the first time you saw it?
Well, obviously I knew, well, I couldn't quite remember, so I guess
Mhm.
I can't say that.
Yeah, the first
But
time you saw it.
yeah, I didn't know what to expect because I thought, okay, those guys are a little bit ahead of him, because it didn't
Yes.
really show exactly where he was in the corridor to that spot. And yeah, I didn't expect, for that person to be where they were when they did what they did. And yeah, it was unexpected, something that I wasn't, you know, thinking would happen. So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
it was good. I would say.
And what about you, Em? What was
Mhm.
that?
Oh, I was just saying how mom was really, really good at foreshadowing.
Dude. Anyway,
Well, I mean, like once he's in the room, and then the next thing you know, it's really dark in there, and you see like Xavier's body there. So that's when you're really understanding that all this stuff with the captives had happened. It had to been at least a couple hours before he even
yeah.
got to Jigsaw. And so when he sees Xavier's body laying there because he was dead for a while or whatever, and he goes over to that bathtub. Tell me what you thought about the scene where he comes into contact with the pig suit.
Um, I was just like, oh, it's this thing again? Because like last movie was just, I don't know. I didn't really like it. It was like a weird take thing, and I just didn't really like that. And it came
Okay.
out of the bathtub. It's like, where did this come from? I had no clue what was gonna happen.
It was the setup.
Oh,
It was the
Yeah.
setup. Well, then we realized that, and that's when the rest of the story starts to piece together, is that it was Amanda who is basically the new accomplice or the accomplice. We didn't know that. And
The
then
new Jigsaw, she even said it. Yeah.
yeah, and so she was explaining everything. She was
Yep.
explaining the fact that when she survived that trap from the first movie, that he basically took her in, and she was going to basically carry on his legacy. And earlier when he was saying to Detective Matthews, what's the cure for cancer, and she was saying the cure for cancer is living a life that's worthy of immortality or whatever, that type of thing, basically saying that his work was going to live on through her. Kel, what did you think about this reveal? I mean, the twist, this to me, it was really, really good. The fact that it was her, she was basically a plant for this movie the whole time. And she obviously, stuck Matthews with a needle to knock him out and so forth. I mean, what did you think about all that?
Well, I would say her resolve is a little deeper than John's. John just, takes some notos and takes a nap. when he's playing the plant, she's in it. She's in needle pits and
Right.
all of this stuff. But
Yeah.
no, I liked it. And plus, Shawnee Smith, love her, and her character in this franchise, I think, is great. So it was really interesting to see someone that's played John's game, survived, and now she has this kind of devotion to him,
Right.
for kind of helping her realize that life is good, and live it to the fullest, and become my apprentice. Join the dark side. We have cookies.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I really liked it, although I didn't see it coming. So I really
Right.
enjoyed that. I was like, oh crap, very cool.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I thought so too, man, because it just came out of nowhere. Now you had remembered that coriander from the first time you had seen it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you,
Yeah.
Em? Were you shocked by Amanda being the accomplice?
yes, because I was honestly really confused on who was that, like who was it, who was under that mask and stuff. And when I found out, it like pieced together everything. And I thought it was
Mhm.
just, like really cool, you know.
Yeah.
How
Yeah,
she
it
she
really
like, sacrificed so much too, just to feel in this and stuff. It was really
right.
cool.
Right, man. She definitely didn't get out of this easy. Now,
Mhm.
here's a question I'm gonna ask all you guys. So obviously Detective Matthews, he wakes up, because he was knocked out, and basically, she just tells him, said, "You framed me wrongly, and I was in prison because of you. Now you're gonna be alone," and yada yada yada. And then of course the tagline "Game Over," and he's yelling at her, and no, no, and all that. It was a great way to end. And then of course it shows Tobin Bell as Jigsaw in the van, because he helped Matthews get to the house, and he's still sitting in the van. And as it's panning away from him, you see him smile, and then it just cuts like that. I mean, to me, that was a great ending, because I remember seeing it in the theater, and I was like, what? What's gonna happen? He's still in the fucking van. What's gonna happen? So here's my question for you guys: this finale, or this twist. I'll start with you, Kill, and then Coriander, and then M. Was it a better twist than the original, or how do you rate it? How do you rank it against the original?
Well, you know, for me, I guess the one, and this will tie to my answer. The one gripe that I have with the story or plot in this is, in the first one, the players of John's game, it was very integral to John. You know, this guy was a doctor who said, I, you know, have inoperable brain tumor, and kind of left me for dead. In this one, you have Detective Matthews, who Amanda has a gripe with, granted, but all of the other people, they were just other criminals that were screwed over by Donnie Wahlberg. So it's just kind of like, all right, you just gonna like have, you know, you guys might have to die, but we didn't do anything to you, John. We didn't do anything to Amanda. Somatics. You gotta die. And it's like, and we see this kind of theme in some of the other movies of the franchise. Like, are there ties? Are there not? So I guess as far as the twist, I did like this one more than the first one, but I have to give it, you know, a few demerits, because it wasn't fully centered around one of the, I guess, antagonists of the series, being Amanda or John. You know, except for Detective Matthews, but
exactly. Real quick too, Coriander, before I get to you, just to catch up to the chat, we got Mavericks in the chat. What's going on? Saying hey everyone. All right. George, everyone's gonna do a Jigsaw thing tonight. Hello, Knight. Would you like to play a game? I know you wish to continue to make horror content, but maybe the only person you're scared of is yourself. Could be. It could be. That was a good one. What's up, Russell? How you doing? Hey. He's saying, what's up, Nightwatch and Coriander and Killian? What's going on? What's going on? And we got Eric. Eric's in the chat saying, I'm late, but we'll catch the replay. I prefer this over the original, especially for the twist with Amanda. Gotta love Shawnee Smith. Shout out to the Blob, right? Yeah. And he says, and that great twist where Matthews literally just had to sit and talk like Jigsaw told him to. Exactly. That's all he had. If he had sat there, because the other thing we didn't mention is at the end, when the timer goes off where they were interrogating him, the safe opens. When it gets to 0-0, they thought it was going to be a bomb. The safe opens, and then you've got Detective Carey. She goes up to the safe, and it's Daniel.
Yeah.
His son was right there the whole time, right in that room, safe and secured, just like he said. So it was pretty ironic. Jason with a $10 super chat. This one's for you, Coriander. Hello, Coriander. I want to play a game. You have not fully understand the greatness of student bodies. You will not have to do a watch party with student bodies. Enjoy.
Oh my God. I don't know about that, man.
Oh, she absolutely hates that movie.
That's
so
like
much,
torture.
man.
That's like, yeah. Really. Maybe not for you, but it is for me. No.
Oh, man.
No.
Good Lord. All right. Thanks so much, Jason. Much appreciated, man. Much appreciated.
Right?
So what about for you two? What do you guys think of the twist? Was this a better twist than the original? What do you think, Coriander? And then M?
Well, it was a pretty good twist, man, because the first time you see it, you're like, holy shit, you know, she was involved this whole time.
Right.
And yeah, it just lets you know, that Jigsaw's gonna live on. You know, he's that smart to know that my work here is, important shit, and I'm gonna get someone who's gonna continue it for me. So
Right,
yeah,
right.
it was I enjoyed the twist. So yeah, I kind of did enjoy it more than I guess the first. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. How about you, Em?
Well, the twist is better, but I kind of liked how it was more like the speed of the movie was more like it was better when it comes to the first one, and it had more comedy to it. So I kind of like it had more personality than this one, but the twist is better in this one.
Oh,
Mm,
okay. All right. All right. I
mm,
can hear you. I get that. To me, I think, I think this twist, I think it was, a little bit more complex. And I think it was really more about the irony of it all, because like everyone has been talking about, if he just sat there with Jigsaw and just talked to him and was able to control himself, which of course in his line of work, you're supposed to be able to do that, but he doesn't.
mm.
And so I think it was really just the irony of it all is that he literally put himself into the situation he was in at the end of the movie. And so it was
Yeah,
just it was messed up, man. And of course,
it was.
the whole idea with Amanda being the accomplice, because when I first saw this movie, like you said, Kill, I was just thinking to myself, man, she has just got bad luck. She's in this thing again. Fortunately, she knew that you got to play by the rules if you hope to survive it. So I literally, in a way, was rooting for her in this movie. And of course, at the end of the movie, they pull the rug under from underneath of you, and she's the accomplice. So I thought it was really, really crafty the way. But I will say this: the end of the first movie, I did not see that coming whatsoever. So it was more of a shock. So I don't know, man. The first movie definitely has the shock factor for me. But
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, it was good. It was good. Wayne saying shout out to my fellow Aussies that co-created Saw, James Wan and Lee Winnell. Yeah, they definitely had some special stuff going on with this. They really, really did. Any final thoughts on Saw 2 Kill? And I know we've talked about this one a lot over the years.
No, but this is definitely one of my favorites of the series, and
Yeah,
yeah, it was a great sequel, and it showed the potential of what the series could be. So yeah.
right. And how about you, ladies?
Go ahead.
Well, it definitely will show that the other movies will be good. Because I honestly thought this one wasn't going to be that good, I'll be honest, because the first one was really good. But I feel like I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah,
It'll be
you just
good.
wait.
You just wait.
All right. And what about you, Coriander?
This, like, again, I was surprised with this because, like we all said, well, at least me and Em, that we thought that we'd be seeing the same stuff over and over again, and
Right.
it was a pleasant surprise. And
Yeah.
yeah, this whole series is kind of like that because you think, how can it top that? And then it does something that's even crazier. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, no,
it's good.
that's a good point too, because I mean, it when you watch the first movie, you think to yourself, well, what else can they do? I remember when this was coming out, and I was just like, what are they gonna do? And you saw what they were able to do, and it really got me. And the best thing about this movie is at the end with the reveals, and it's like 4 twists, but the ending is open-ended. So you're like, okay, what's gonna happen to John? He's in the van, Amanda is out, and of course Matthews is locked up. So it made you, at least for me, as tell me what you think too, Kill, because I mean we were watching these as they were coming out in the theater, but I was constantly thinking to myself, what are they gonna do in the third movie, right?
Yeah, honestly, after this one, I really didn't know, what's next. Is it just gonna
Right,
be Amanda and John, passes away, or,
right.
you know, but yeah, it was a great gateway to the rest of the franchise.
It was. It really, really was. Eric saying just wait until next week. Saw 3 is damn good too. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Brandon's a fan of it too. I mean, I think that they definitely did some great things, and of course, it'll be a great time to talk about that. But that's all we have for Saw 2. Jason coming in saying final thoughts. Hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. The community is amazing. Thank you guys for doing an amazing job on this Saw 2 review. Love you all. I thought Saw 2 played itself That was good. Played it safe.
Played it safe.
Yeah. All right. That was a good one. All right, guys. Well, anyways, that's all we got for Saw 2, but we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Please remember to give the video a like. That helps support the channel, and we'd appreciate it. And just a reminder, on this Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to be continuing our watch party series of the Creep Show TV series. Last Sunday was a lot of fun. We had a whole bunch of people, on the panel, and also some folks in the live chat. So it was a lot of fun. So this Sunday, we're going to continue that, watching episode 2. And again, if you're not a channel member, feel free to hit the join button and join us. And if you're at the second tier or higher, you'll be able to join us for the watch party. So I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, it'll be great. Anyways, we will catch you guys next time. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace.
Peace.